a lot of these tax burdens on these businesses were creating them to say, listen, we don't have the money to be able to create jobs in the private sector. So as a result, we've seen, at least in part, 155,000 new private sector jobs created in the state. So that was a decision that was made jointly by me and by the legislature. It was the only time the legislature has agreed to cut taxes on anything over the last 5.5 years has been on that particular program. And so it amounts to about $400 million a year over 5 years. So it's not $2.3 billion in one fell swoop. That's been phased in over time. So it was a policy decision that I advocated for and supported to try to help when we were at 10% unemployment. And I think that it's helped. I don't think it's the only cause of why, because there's other trends. National trends help, and other things that have happened in the state I think help. But that's been part of the problem. Has been tax structure in the state is too high, and employers are leaving. And for instance, you may have read in the past month and a half or so that Mercedes-Benz USA is leaving New Jersey. Now, Mercedes-Benz USA has had their American headquarters in New Jersey for 40 years, since 1972. And they are now leaving, and they're going to Georgia. And they're leaving, as the CEO said, for one major reason. It is too expensive for them to do business here. They were up in Bergen County, and they just could no longer afford it. It did not make fiscal sense. That's 1,000 really good paying jobs that are going to leave this state. And so we need to be sensitive to that. We need to wake up. The idea any longer, as a lot of the Democrats in the legislature will tell you, well, that people don't leave because of taxes. Well, then why is Mercedes-Benz USA leaving? Why did 10,000 millionaires leave just last year? And why, in the 5 years before I became governor, did $70 billion in wealth leave this state? Not according to me, but according to an independent Boston College study. These people are leaving because they're saying to themselves two things. It's increasingly difficult to afford to live here, and it's impossible to afford to die here. Because, by the way, remember this, we are one of only 2 states in America that has both an estate tax and an inheritance tax. Us in Maryland, we're it. That's it. Estate tax and inheritance tax. So, when you make the money, whether you're a public sector worker or a private sector worker, we tax you. And then, if you don't spend all your money and you invest some of it, we tax you on your capital gains and your dividends. Then if you take some of that money out and you spend it, we charge you a sales tax. If you don't spend it and you keep it in the account and we're taxing your capital gains and your dividends, then when you die, at the moment you die, we take our share. Then when you give it to your son or daughter or wife or husband, we take more then. Like in the transfer, we take more. We take it from you when you die, and then as it moves magically over to your heir, we take more from them. We take more money from you at every turn, and by the way, if you decide to leave, if you have the temerity to decide to leave, and you sell your house, you didn't know when you bought your house that I was your partner. Now, granted, I didn't put any money in. Granted, when you painted the house, I didn't help you. When the roof leaked, I didn't get up there and help you with it. When the plumbing burst, I didn't come and help pay the plumber's bill. I'm sorry. But here's the good news for you. Because of Governor Jim McGreevy, we have something called the Realty transfer tax. Sounds relatively benign, right? Realty transfer. I don't own Realty. Doesn't matter to me. It doesn't apply to me. Oh, yes, you do. If you own your house, you do. And you find out when you sell your house, and you get that statement, and you're expecting a check of a certain amount because you know how much your mortgage was, and you know how much you sold the house for, and you know how much you're paying your realtor. So you go, okay, well, then I'll have this much. And they go, wait a second, excuse me, the check's not correct. And you go, oh, no, it is. Governor Christie came in for his share. He came in, well, what did the governor have to do with my house? Nothing. But I take part of it. That's the craziness of this state. Every chance they can, they get in your pocket for more money. So the Exxon settlement is a good settlement. Now, listen, the Attorney General makes these decisions, and so I can't take credit for the good decision either, because the Attorney General makes these decisions, and I don't interfere with the Attorney General. But what I will tell you is they're going to have to clean everything up, no matter what it costs, and we get $225 million on top of it because they were bad enough to have done it in the first place. And on the tax cuts, You can argue that back and forth, but I think it contributed to us creating more private sector jobs, which is increasing revenue in the state. And I think that's a good thing, on top of the fact that 150,000 more families have a member of their family working than not working. And I think that's good also for the fabric of our society, too.